Microsoft has released a statement saying that they welcome the U-turn on the Activision deal from the CMA, while Sony has made some comments about how an inferior version of Call of Duty on the PlayStation 5 would destroy them, basically. Let's dive into what has been said right now. It has been a slow couple days, but this morning I woke up and there was some news to talk about, starting with Microsoft welcoming the CMA U-turn on the Activision deal. Sony decries irrational decision. Meanwhile, a university professor tells the UK regulator cloud gaming is not a distinct market, which I think we all kind of knew. Microsoft and Sony have responded to the Competition and Markets Authority revised findings that the former's purchase of Activision Blizzard will not harm competition in the console space. The UK regulator has now published responses from the two platform holders, with Microsoft welcoming the addendum to the original provisional findings. Microsoft has been clear since the announcement of the merger it has no intention to withhold or degrade access to Call of Duty or any other Activision content on PlayStation. Now that's interesting. I think that is the first time they've actually said concretely there's no other Activision content that's going to be reduced on the PlayStation brand. So they have no intention to withhold other games like the upcoming Diablo 4, which I know a lot of people have been concerned about, on the platform. So anything that exists seems like it is good to go. Such a strategy would be in direct contrast to the interests of gamers in the UK and around the world. Rather than limit choice or access, Microsoft intends to use the merger to bring more games to more people on more platforms and devices. And one of their big selling points, as you know, has been I believe it's 150 million new devices, which is through their contracts with Boosteroid, Ubitus, Nvidia, Nintendo, and that's 150 million more devices. So Sony, obviously less happy on the fact that the CMA basically said, yeah, Sony doesn't really have a strong case here. Here's what they're saying. Sony, meanwhile, said the CMA's reversal of its position is surprising, unprecedented, and irrational, spending much of its 11-page response detailing the errors it believes the UK regulator made in calculating the lifetime value of an average gamer for either platform. SIE respectfully submits that the addendum does not justify the CMA's U-turn on the console theory of harm the company wrote. The CMA actually had the math wrong. Microsoft pointed out that they had the math wrong. Once they corrected the math, they said, yeah, you know what? You're right. This actually doesn't seem like that big of a deal. So I don't know what Sony's going on about here. Obviously, Sony doesn't want it to go through, but anyway. Sony claimed the model the CMA used was biased towards finding that Microsoft had no incentive to withhold Activision's games from PlayStation and ignored without sound reason the analysis of other evidence in the provisional findings regarding Microsoft's incentives. It added that the addendums discussed about whether Microsoft would withhold games is based on pure speculation rather than evidence. I don't think that's the case. They looked at the sales data and did the calculation again correctly, and that's what they came up with. So why does Sony keep playing the same hand? It's like, this time it's going to work. No, it's not working anymore. Like, it hasn't worked for you at all. You got to come up with a new play here, because this strategy is not working for you, Sony or PlayStation. Obviously, they're not listening to me, but I'm a little surprised that they would keep going back to the table with this strategy. To reach a robust decision, the CMA should revisit its analysis of Microsoft's incentives and partial foreclosure, correcting the errors identified in this paper, the PlayStation response concluded. I'm going to have to go through both of the documents, the one from Microsoft saying, hey, thanks for supporting us, at least in the console sector, and the one where the Sony side responds and talks about their issues with it. So they actually commented on the deal here. Not only does this show that Microsoft has no ability to withhold Activision content from rival cloud gaming services, given the presence of legally binding and enforceable agreements with these providers, it is also clear evidence of Microsoft's intention not to withhold Activision content from other cloud gaming services, the Xbox firm wrote. Any analysis of both Microsoft's ability and incentive should be updated accordingly to reflect this development. Simply put, the CMA has found no incentive to withhold Activision content in relation to console, and the evidence showed it should reach the same conclusion in relation to cloud game streaming. Now, to Microsoft's benefit, There was also another document right next to it from Joost Rietveld, who said cloud gaming is not a distinct market. You can actually see it here. They link to it in the document. That is the third document that I'm going to have to go over, where they talk about how no, cloud gaming is not a distinct market. And I do find it interesting that the CMA has published that alongside their findings here. I also find it interesting that several of you, at least several of you, are not subscribed. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. And if you're already subscribed, hit that like button, especially if you like my content. So basically, he argues, according to this article, that cloud gaming is not a distinct market, but instead refers to 4 types of gaming services that each rely on cloud streaming tech. Cloud gaming as a feature, as seen on Xbox Game Pass. Cloud gaming as a complement, such as NVIDIA GeForce Now and Boostroid. Cloud gaming as an input, as with Ubitus and GameStream. Cloud gaming as a platform, with examples including Amazon Luna and Blacknut. Yeah, I mean, cloud gaming isn't currently the way that people go. It's usually complementary, as he outlines. I think in the future, it could be a market, but right now it's not where it needs to be to garner the amount of attention that I think it's getting. Now, in addition to that, Jim Ryan is saying our business would never recover if Microsoft degraded Call of Duty on PlayStation. Now, there's not really a whole lot of reason why that would happen. So it looks like Video Game Charts was the first person to read through the response. So I'll be citing them for the first time ever, I think. Let's see what they had to say. Jim Ryan, our business would never recover if Microsoft degraded Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan, in the company's response to the UK regulator, the Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, addendum stated PlayStation would never recover if Microsoft were to release a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation if its acquisition of Activision Blizzard were to be approved. That's obviously nonsense. There's they could literally take the game off PlayStation entirely. So like if the game was worse on PlayStation, which they don't have incentive to do that. They've proven that by removing it from PlayStation, they would lose too much money. By making it worse on PlayStation, they lose too much money. They gain money because of the crossplay functionality of the game and the sales for cosmetics, etc., that happen on all platforms. So the idea that they're going to make one version worse is just ridiculous. Ryan said a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover. The CMA already looked at these claims, and they said, looking at the math, that's not true. So the fact that he comes back with that argument, it's like, you got to come up with something stronger than that because it's just incorrect. You can't just say something would happen without backed up data. And the problem is the CMA looked at the data and that's not what would happen. Like a small portion of people would leave. If you're a PlayStation gamer and you're watching this video, you know you wouldn't desert PlayStation entirely because Call of Duty was over on Xbox, and it's an incredibly weak argument. So I think it's ridiculous. We already know it's like 3% of people would leave if it was pulled off entirely. So the fact that you're saying that if Call of Duty was worse, they would leave in droves. That's just not true. So anyway, that was Jim Ryan's response. I'm going to go through the documents probably this evening and take another look at them and hopefully have another video for you tomorrow. But thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Little Rocky, got to get back to it. I had a birthday yesterday on April 5th and had some family stuff going on, and I'm planning on getting LASIK. So just working on myself a little bit, but thank you for watching and waiting. Thanks so much to the members for supporting. I do greatly appreciate you. If you would like to become a member, click that join button right down there. It's right there. Ding. All right, I'm going to get out of here, everybody. If you want to see the last video I did, you can check it out right here where we talk about how the CMA sort of changed their tone. So you can check out that because they allude to it in this story. And I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.